Hello and welcome to this week's stretching and shapes video. So we're still early, so I know you are still trying to get your head around what I mean by shapes. So what I mean by shapes is that the human body only does a few things. It does many things, but really only a few skills to make that happen. So every position you have essentially represents a collection of what your bones and your muscles are doing in space. And depending on how I position that shape in space really determines what muscles you're going to emphasize using. So what does that mean? To improve your flexibility, you must learn to master the same shapes in different ways. And as you get good at that, you'll get good at the full range of the shape. So the shape that we're going to work on today is what we call the forward fold. You will see it many places, many times, and so it typically, in an ideal world, may look like this. Okay, so in this shape, my legs have a certain shape that they're doing. My spine has a certain shape that it's doing. My head hangs from my torso in a certain way, and even my arms take a certain shape. Notice that when I push to full length, how everything goes to straight. So this is me going all the way to the shape the most I can. Okay, so that's that shape, and we all know that that shape feels good because when you're feeling tight in your back or in your hamstrings, you go for that shape. So we've worked on breathing. We're going to continue to work on breathing. Let me ask you now to remember your breathing lessons and bring them into your shapes practice. So we're doing inhaling right now, so that's going to be the thing that you guys are going to focus on, and you're going to use the inhale to gather strength in your shape. So let me give you some examples of how you can practice this shape, and then I'll go into what I want you guys to practice. So one of the easiest ways that I can regress this shape or make it easier would be to hold on to something. So I have these ballet bars over here, or you could find several things from a bench to a chair to something in a gym. And so I'm going to stand facing it, and from this position right here, I'm going to put my weight into my upper body. And so the more weight I put into my upper body, the less that I have to take into my legs. And so here I am holding back, bending my elbows, and I'm just kind of going forward into this shape. But when I do it like this, I get to stretch my upper torso, my lats a little bit more, and there's not a lot of work on my legs. And so that gives me the freedom to kind of play with my legs. Okay, and so to maximize this shape, we would come to this position and then we would breathe deep. So let's say we're working with the 5 that we've been working on. So inhale. That was good. That was like a really easy way for me to kind of take that shape from a regressed position. Okay, so we'll go into that one really deep another time, but I just wanted you guys to see the shapes. Okay, one other way that you've got to really learn to work on this shape is, this is an important shape to master standing up. And it is important for you to understand how bending the knees affects your ability to get deeper into this shape, in and out of this shape, or move this shape from a hamstring stretch to a low back stretch. So that's really what we're talking about here. So at some point when we do the standing version of this, I'm going to ask you guys to learn how to take your ribs or your chest and put it on your thighs. Okay, so when I go ribs to my thighs, I have to bend my knees. Okay, so when I'm in this position right now, my hamstrings are, well, they're loose as they can be for standing, but my low back is not taking anything. And I'm actually taking some of my upper body weight and I'm putting it right into my feet so it'll be easier to hold. So this is
one very important way for you to learn how to hold this shape. So you're resting your torso on your thighs, which takes weight out and it eases your hamstrings. And then you would practice your 5 breaths. So as you practice this one using your breath, what will happen is every inhale, you're going to feel your hamstrings, your lower back just get more space. And then when you exhale, it's literally going to be like the water in your body, the water, the fluid that is your body will just kind of fall forward and it's going to pull the hamstrings and the hips open. Okay, so that's going to be a standing version of that shape. Today we're going to work on the seated version of that shape. Why? Well, it is one of the easiest versions, and it's also directly connected to your Pilates practice. So in the Pilates series, the first movement we do is called the roll-up, and the roll-up finishes like that, okay? And so it's exactly like the full expression of the standing version that we did. And so as you guys are practicing your shapes, because we want you to stretch and be warm before you start your Pilates, this shape right here is really important for you guys to master. Okay, so how do we get to this shape? So when you sit, you will have the most range in your legs if you start with them as wide as your hips, or just a little bit wider than your hips. If, for many people, even sitting like this, I'm not even fully up straight, is a lot of work. So in the Pilates practice, we're going to practice finding up, our maximum tall shape. But at this point, since we're just stretching, we're focusing on the shape, you're probably a little bit slouched, which is okay. And you're probably going to feel most comfortable with your hands behind you. So this is the easiest version. You can see my legs are totally relaxed. My torso is totally relaxed. Okay, and I'm still, well, you could say getting a form of flexibility. This is if I was to stand this shape vertically, I couldn't hold this shape. So right now you could say I'm opening my shoulders and I'm letting the back relax, okay? So as we get into the shape and we're trying to improve it, well, first exercise we're gonna practice walking our hands forward so we can get the torso nice and tall, and we're gonna practice using our hands to push us into the straightness of the shape. So bending the knees will be the easiest way to kind of get yourself forward until you can grab something, right? If you can grab your toes, that's great. If you can grab your ankles, that's fine too, whatever it is. So now we're gonna use our strength of our upper body to hold us forward. And then you're gonna practice just pushing a leg all the way to straight and then pulling with your torso muscles, your upper body muscles. And you'll switch. Pressing yourself all the way straight and pulling with your torso muscle. Okay, so at this point I'm just teaching this, so I'm not going to give you a firm set of reps that for you to work in, because the truth is there isn't really an ideal set for you to work in. It's really a matter of you guys seeing how these different shapes come into play, and for you to practice the shape itself for 10 minutes or so and practice your breathing in all forms of the shape. So the key thing I want you guys to see right now is I'm using the bending of my knees to practice giving me space in one leg to be as straight as I can. And I'm using my upper body strength to pull. So you'll get to an end range and then you will practice your 5 breaths. And when you inhale, what I want you to do is hold yourself in place with your strength. So you inhale and just make yourself stronger in that shape. And then as you exhale, you get to relax and pull yourself a little bit deeper into the shape. Okay, we're going to let that be your introduction to the hamstring shape, the forward fold shape for today, so you guys have a couple of ways to work on it. And so I want you to practice stretching into that shape for a good 10 minutes before you pull into your Pilates rolling for today. Thanks.